You always got to wait for that beat to drop right here, and this is the perfect time to start talking.
Lagged a little bit at the beginning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the AJA Sports Show. We are back. Happy Monday. It's a beautiful overcast afternoon in Southern California. How's everybody doing today? Ace, Johnny, how you guys doing?
Doing good, bud. Doing great. Doing great.
Yeah.
Is everyone in a good headspace after yesterday? That was an absolute show. Some Sunday football games. I mean, good lord, man.
I mean, I worked, but I watched the real highlights, and I saw the good stuff, but then I checked through the phone and saw all the bad stuff, and I was like, oh, yeah, it was an interesting day. Lots of weird ass comebacks, and the Bengals looked like they were gonna. Well, I mean, Mitch White looked like he looked pretty damn good for most of that game. Let's be honest, and the Bengals just terribly crashed. We could talk about that later, but
yeah, it was the Sunday for backup quarterbacks. I mean, it was almost like if you wanted to win, you should have just played the backup quarterback.
Hello, Lord Lizzie.
What's up, Elizabeth? So Geno Smith, Trevor Siemian, Mitch, is it Mitch White, Mike White? I thought it was Mitch, but then I thought it was Mike. I don't know his name.
Who cares? M. White. Mr. White. Call him Mr. White.
And Cooper Rush, four backup quarterbacks won games yesterday. As you mentioned, a lot of weird score lines. I mean, even the Bucks on my Survivor team and the team that we all I think we all picked them to win. We'll go over our game picks soon here. And they ended up losing. Tom Brady did something he's never done before. Jay had an interesting stat. We'll throw that one. I'll let him throw that everyone's way once we get to the game picks portion. But big news out early this morning. Woke up to some big news. Let's start with Derrick Henry. He's going to have surgery on his foot. Mike Vrabel confirmed that this morning. Placed on IR. There was initially a report saying that there is no timetable to return for him, but reports later, about 30 minutes after the fact, said that he was going to be placed on IR because they expect him back in 6 to 10 weeks, which, given the time frame and the extra game, gives an outside chance for him to be available for playoffs, which is something that Tennessee now, after their win against the Colts in the overtime fashion that they did, are projecting to be a part of. So they did sign Adrian Peterson. That news broke about an hour ago. So what's the ramifications here, guys? Like, how are you guys feeling about the Titans now? I know, Johnny, you were big on the Colts going into the season. They did lose. They did lose to them this past weekend in a divisional game. So what are we thinking for the Titans now? How do we think they're going to fare getting to the playoffs?
Yeah, we'll talk about that Colts debacle of a game yesterday. Carson Wentz just basically decided to go back to Philadelphia Eagle Carson Wentz and give the game to the Tennessee Titans on the 3-yard line. Absolutely egregious. And why are we running a screen there? We'll wait till later. But Adrian Peterson is dust, bro. Like, I mean, this team really operated as Derrick Henry went. Like, I mean, Ryan Tannehill's been fine, and A.J. Brown has been good. And, obviously Julio Jones has come in, and we know what Julio Jones is. But, he's obviously had some trouble staying on the football field early this season, which, I mean, kind of his bugaboo in Atlanta as well. Those soft tissue things, bro, they never really go away. It's really bad. You really need time. That's really the only thing that helps those soft tissue injuries is time, and he's not getting much of it right now. And without Derrick Henry, shoot, they're going to want him back out there even more. So, I think this is a big hit for them. I mean, I thought they were going to be around a 500 team anyway, and I mean, they did win some games that I don't think very many people expected them to do. I mean, they shellacked the Chiefs and then, beating the Bills on Monday Night Football. I don't think really anyone was expecting either of those outcomes. So I think they definitely have, somewhat exceeded expectations already. But again, a lot of it has to do with Derrick Henry, dude. I mean, this dude is leading the league in every rushing statistical category, and it's not particularly close. From a fantasy perspective, because obviously I deal with fantasy quite a bit. He's the highest scoring running back by 40 points. By 40 points. It's the second person is 40 points away. It's not even close. So, I mean, I think this has a big hit to them. I mean, they're serious division. I mean, they can still win the division. I mean, the Colts have shown enough to where they're trashy enough, and the Jacksonville Jags and Houston Texans aren't doing jack squat with that division. So, I mean, there's still a chance they win the division, but I mean, if they make it to the playoffs without Derrick Henry, they're in a lot of trouble. And I think that they can, obviously lose quite a few games here, especially with that being the case, them losing him.
You know what I'll do? I will remember the Titans. I'll remember for them for the first 8 games of the season in which they surprisingly did super well. And guess what? If they have any recognition here, that we'll give them. They had 3 games, 3 wins in which let's be totally transparent. If you watch the Buffalo Bills versus the Tennessee Titans game, the Bills didn't do enough on defense to win that game. The only reason they lost, on offense, the Bills just completely did whatever they wanted. They scored 31 points. If you watched the Kansas City Chiefs game, a team that is for all, for any way you want to define it, not doing well right now. And I mean, they shut them out in the second half, improvements there. They scored the 27 points. That felt like the Tennessee Titans needed to make a statement win against the, former Super Bowl champs of 2 years ago and beat them 54-3. But no, they shut them out in the second half. So, I mean, yeah. And then this wacky freaking Colts game that I was like, oh, what the heck is happening? The Tennessee Titans, they've hit their peak. I try to go back to our predictions here before the season started, and I found them. Andrew was the highest on them at 11-6. So 11-6 with the easiest strength of schedule left in this season, right? So that's not wild to think that they would have gotten there.
That was looking pretty good. Yeah,
it was looking good. It's over. I had them at 8-9, potentially being a wild card team.
He said it's over.
And Jay, you didn't even have him anywhere in the you might have had him as above 500 or around 500, but you didn't have him making the playoffs in your predictions. If Derrick Henry is the MVP for the first half of the season, and it's too bad he's not going to be able to hit 2,500 yards that he could have potentially gotten. And if this stuff happens, I feel bad for the guy completely. It sucks that he lost out on having the best running back season ever, because this is what it would have been. And I hope, he's able to come back from this next year and, or the year after and kind of get back to his former self. But yeah, the Tennessee Titans are done. There's nothing to say that they won't still win the division because they have the easiest strength of schedule. So I don't know, maybe, but the Colts can get their crap together. Maybe they'll have a chance to win it at 7-11 or 8-9, and which is just wild. And the NFL playoffs, I'm glad they brought in the extra team, but they shouldn't be a 4th seeded playoff team. They should be lower to the bottom. I think that's one thing.
You win that division, baby.
I think that's one thing that we kind of wish that the baseball would maybe do a little bit, because you win 106 games and it's not enough.
Baseball needs a whole revamp. Baseball needs an entire revamp, man.
But yeah, dude, I'm not afraid of these Tennessee Titans anymore. It sucks. I do wish the Bills play them in the playoffs. Let them be the 7th seed and we'll be the 1 seed and we'll just obliterate them.
Yeah, on Derrick Henry being out, Andrew? King Henry?
No. Nothing to add to anything that you guys had said. It definitely does change their offense and what they're going to have to do. Ryan Tannehill, thrives off of play action, and a lot of that is predicated on what they're able to do in the run game with Derrick Henry. So AJ Brown and Julio Jones will obviously help Tannehill be able to throw the ball downfield, and you hopefully Taylor Lewan is back, so he has a clean pocket to throw from. But defensively, they're not very good already. So this has Derrick Henry getting hurt has nothing to really do with them. Just it changes I guess the pace of the game for them and how often they are on the field. So we'll have to wait and see. I think this gives a good opening to Indianapolis. I genuinely do, to come and take this division. And we'll have to just wait and see. I wish they would have kept, just real quick on the playoff thing. I wish they would have kept 2 teams with a bye. I'm fine letting more teams in, but I would have preferred them having just
agreed. Yeah.
Just let 2 more wild card teams in.
I don't know how you do that though, because if you give 2 teams a bye, you're at an odd number.
Well, if you bring in 8 teams to the whole postseason.
Oh, now you're gonna bring in another team? Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. I'm saying.
Oh, you want to add another team?
If you had another wild card game, instead of the 2nd seed playing the 7, you have the 3rd seed playing the 8, the 4 playing the 7, the 5 playing the 6.
Yeah, but then you're letting what? I mean, how many teams? That's 16 teams. That's half the league. Yeah, no.
The NBA does that.
Yeah.
And their playoffs are
sometimes. Yeah, but the NBA play. Well, NBA knows what they're doing. I think in terms of product on the floor, and I'm saying in terms of how they operate, I think they're the best of the entire franchise, big sports out there. I think football's probably second, but they're terrible at something. So, and baseball, basement.
So I mean, basketball does half the league, makes it. You play 82 games. Baseball does. A third of the league makes it, and you play double the amount of games.
20%, yeah.
So I mean, I guess in baseball it's well, you have 162 games to make the playoffs. Like it's on you for not making the playoffs. In the NFL, it's like what happens is what happens is in the wild card weekend, an underdog beats a better team because that's football for you. And they only play 17 games. So, I mean, I get it.
We got to tab this for off season when we don't have anything to talk about. It's just like July baseball and stuff. We'll talk about how the NFL can reinvent the playoffs and Andrew's thing to get another team in.
We'll open up a letter to the commissioner. Don't worry, Goodell. We got envelopes on the way. You know what else is on the way? Von Miller is on his way to the Los Angeles Rams. He got traded this morning. The Rams continue to go all in on defense with adding just another absolute superstar stud at a position, at an impact position on the defensive side of the ball, adding to Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald that they have. He was traded for 2 2022 second-day draft picks. So those will be determined in the future depending on where
I think they said it was the second and third after I think they finalized compensation.
Did they clarify it? Okay.
Second and third, yeah.
All right, so that's what they got in return. The Rams, as Jay has mentioned previously on different shows that we talked about the Rams and they're like previewing the draft and stuff. And just in like little sidebars between me and the three of us, they have really no draft capital anymore. They are kind of forfeiting all of it for the foreseeable future to try and maximize this championship window that they feel they have with Matthew Stafford. And I don't think that there's a lot of people who would argue if you were to say the Rams are probably poised to like as the best team in the NFL currently. They're 7-1, coming off a pretty dominant win yesterday. Detroit, the game against Detroit, make for it what you will, but they scored had 4 consecutive touchdown drives and ended up, sealing that game last week pretty easily. So what does this do for the Rams, really? I mean, it obviously adds an impact player at a position that was of need for the Rams. They hadn't really figured out the defensive end position. They had guys like Samson Ebukam, Dante Fowler Jr. rotate in and out of their lineup. They even had Leonard Floyd at one point. But now they have a guy who hasn't really played all season, Von Miller. He was inactive last week, said today that he's feeling ready to get back into action, hopefully to play this Sunday night. So what do we think here, Ace? It seemed like you liked the move for them.
Oh, I mean, if you win a Super Bowl, are you willing to say I'll purge next year's draft? Absolutely. And whoever does the books there, whoever is figuring out how to get Von Miller on the books for the Rams, can you do my taxes or something? Like, can you make me money? Because the Chicago Bears can't even there's plenty of teams. The Jacksonville Jaguars don't do well with money, but like I think about like the Bears here too, for instance, like they can't even get anybody to protect Justin Fields, let alone like their defense sucks this year. I don't know.
They're spending $80 million on their linebacking core. That's why. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's why. And whatever they're doing right. If you have to, if Tom Brady gets to face the Rams in the NFC Championship game, guess what he has to deal with? The best defensive player in the world, just 4 feet away from him. Behind him, one of the best linebackers in the last 10 years. Behind him, Jalen Ramsey, who is nothing to blink at. Oh shit! Like, yeah, I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. The Rams are on their way with a great coach. McVay is awesome. 43-0 after leading at halftime. He just beat Bill Belichick's record. He was tied with him. And I mean, Cooper Kupp he have like 1 million yards this season and like 1 million touchdowns. Like Cooper Kupp is scorching.
Breakfast narrative, Ace. You'll lay it on it.
Scorching hot right now. I mean, they have some running back depth that I think if they get to later in the season, Cam Akers is really good. So I think hopefully he can play for the playoffs. But yeah, this team is on its way to being a Super Bowl favorite. The only thing, they have a tough schedule. One of the top 5 toughest schedules, including teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, which you guys know that you have to face this year. So yeah, I mean, but I'm excited for this move for Von Miller. I'm also excited to not pick Denver in any prediction here because it looks like they're just like, whatever. We'll just play for next year, which is fine because
which one is it?
They have no choice.
Yeah, which one is it in Denver? I mean, we're still starting Melvin Gordon in the backfield instead of Javonte Williams, who obviously has more pop. Looks like the much better player. Asa mentioned that last week. Yeah. And
no, Javonte Williams should be if they don't, and within 2 weeks, if he doesn't get the starts, then I lose all faith in this Denver Broncos team, and John Elway specifically.
Do we see the reinsertion of the number 1 overall draft pick for Team Cheeks? I mean, season.
God, I hope so.
Why not? Why not? Right? Why the hell not?
I mean, why not? Why are we still starting Teddy Bridgewater? Like Teddy Bridgewater has turned the ball over 6 times in his last 3 games. Like, Andrew. Yeah.
Drew is a lock to start in week 9.
Oh my god. Boo!
I had to quickly remember which aces was the booze.
There was like a 1 in 8 chance we were incorrect.
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you, Andrew.
My jokes are great.
They're hilarious, buddy. No, the Rams are unbelievable, dude. I mean, Jalen Ramsey. I love the way they're using Jalen Ramsey right now. He's not being used like as a traditional corner in any type of the sense. He's almost playing kind of like a Tyrann Mathieu type role, where he kind of plays like this rover. And when I played college football, we used to call it skiff. It used to be I was called a skiff. It was like a in between an outside linebacker and a strong safety, and that's where they're using him. He's blitzing a ton too. He's going into the slot, which is something he wasn't doing before. And obviously, with Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald and Von Miller, I mean, good luck. I mean, it's going to be a tough task for any offensive line that's going to face them. Asa, I will let you know. If this Cooper Kupp eruption is only going to continue. As I mentioned, the Bible narrative, huge on the established run.
Breakfast.
Breakfast narrative. I'm sorry. There's the breakfast narrative, huge on the established run fan base there. They have breakfast together every morning, dude. You just can't teach that type of chemistry, Ace. You just can't teach it. I mean, breakfast every morning. They share pancakes and oatmeal and stuff. There's just no way anyone's ever going to beat that chemistry. So they're going to keep doing this. They're going to break every record from what it looks like. We got to get I'm actually really thinking about getting our boy Steve on the show. Steve Moz used to go to high school with him. Huge sports fan in general, but loves the LA Rams. And I'm sure he's stoked about this. So I'm sure we'll do a show here during the week. I'll reach out to him, see if he wants to join up and give some of his thoughts. But yeah, I think Rams fans are stoked. I really hate having to agree with Colin Cowherd. But being in LA, it's not enough just to be a football team. You have to take big swings. And the LA Rams have said, screw it. The thing that I was telling Andrew about with the draft picks is they won't have a top 100 pick in the next 2 drafts. For the next 2 years, the first 3 rounds will have gone by, and the LA Rams will not have a single draft pick unless they get like a compensation pick or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, they're definitely in win now, and you could see why. I think, again, this team right now, they're the 3rd favorites to win the Super Bowl behind the Buffalo Bills, shout out Ace, and the Tampa Bay Bucks are still holding in the 2nd right now. This is a huge move for them. Von Miller was real emotional leaving Denver. It's not going to be the same watching Chiefs games against Denver without him. Just to be honest, I'm a Chiefs fan, but Von Miller's been a staple there ever since I was younger. So yeah, big move for them. Good job, LA.
Yeah, just for some context, Cooper, just to go back to Cooper Kupp real quick. It's the last thing I'll say, and then we'll move on to our game picks. But he's the first receiver in NFL history to have 900 plus receiving yards and 10 or more touchdowns for the first 8 games of the season. So he's on an obliterating pace. He's on pace for 133 catches, 2,100 yards receiving, and 22 touchdowns. That would obviously be the greatest individual receiver season we've probably ever seen, even though Randy Moss had a 23 touchdown season. Even still, getting over 2,000 yards. Calvin Johnson was the closest at 1,968 back in 2011. So we'll stay posted, keep watching Cooper Kupp, and see what they do. Now let's get to the crap part of the show, our game picks, because they've been quite horrendous lately. It's a meal that I don't want to have, but it is. Where am I looking for? Here I am.
Everything's
our AC already did it. He already did it. Look at this guy. So this is what the records stand at. Still hanging on by a thread at that top spot in these record predictions. Season's only halfway through. We can see Ace. How you feeling?
Oh, dude, I was in first place for the first 4 weeks of the season. Maybe tied at some point in the 4th week, maybe the 5th week. I don't remember, but it's been 1-4s and 0-5s. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. I don't know football. Apparently, I mean, also, Never mind. I did want to mention.
Yeah.
I wrote down a note to myself to say about Von Miller, and we already moved past it. But I can't. I don't want to forget it.
Spit it out.
Against Statue Cheeseburger Roethlisberger, he had 0 sacks and no QB hits. But so maybe he's overrated. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just kidding. Anyways, yeah. Okay, yeah. I don't care. I'm still saying it. I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna have the best record at the end of the season.
That boy. Right.
I'm just, not nothing against you two.
You gotta believe in something. Believe in yourself, baby.
I'm creating the storyline, boys. I'm just buy the book. Buy the book before we tell the story. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys.
We gotta get into some of these though, okay? Because not that I don't.
Let's hop into the first game. We put the first game on screen.
Yeah.
There's Bucs Saints.
Okay. Right here. Tom Brady got the ball back with 2 minutes left. I was telling Andrew earlier, Tom Brady, in his entire NFL career, this is ridiculous, Ace, you're never going to believe this. In his entire NFL career, Tom Brady, when the game has been within 1 score and he has the football, never, up until Sunday, has thrown an interception. Never. He's never thrown a pick until Sunday. And that's how we lose. I mean, there is a 100% chance Tom Brady's going down the field getting a field goal to win this game. And no, right down the crapper.
It was kind of a bad pick too. I mean, Williams, was it Williams that picked him off?
Mm-hmm. PJ Williams.
Yeah. Well, the first throw should have been picked. He threw the first one to Mike Evans up the sideline, and he didn't see the safety in the cover 2 like come over. I don't know if he thought he was gonna bite on the Godwin over or something. That ball should have been picked. And he even the look on his face, he was like relieved. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get picked. And then, all of a sudden, the next one, he throws an even worse football. I didn't even think it was possible. And then, let me say about the Saints. I don't know. Trevor Siemian came in and looked great. I mean, he looked great for a backup quarterback. This is one of the 4 games where backup quarterbacks decided to win. No, backup quarterbacks don't ever win football games in the NFL, except for, the week 8 when we all pick fucking teams that end up smacking us in the face. The Saints have started to utilize Alvin Kamara in a way that I never thought anyone would want to utilize Alvin Kamara. He's getting like 20 rushing attempts and like 3 targets. Like, I remember I missed the days when it was the opposite. Like, he used to get like 12 carries and like 8 targets, and we were vibing, baby. Now, I don't know how many times yesterday they just ran him right through the A-gap against the best rush defense in the NFL over the last 2 years. Can we try something a little? It's like a Zeke thing. Like, let's get him some space here, boys. We can help him a little bit.
I think that's most. I mean, yeah, you're right. Like, he should be catching the ball a lot more. But, I mean, that's also quarterback related too, right? I mean.
Well, yeah, Drew was targeting him like a mother lover. True.
Yeah, Drew with the most pass completions all time, right? I can't remember if that's his or not. I think that's still his.
Tom probably is going to break it here. And
absolutely.
Yeah, Tom's on pace to break it by the end of the season. But,
yeah, I mean, Brady has lost 4 out of 6 meetings against the Saints. While Sean Payton has been the coach of the Saints. The Saints beat them last year, right? One of their losses.
0-4 against the Saints since he joined the NFC West.
Yeah,
NFC South. Sorry.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, it's he also lost a fumble too, right? Didn't he get strip sacked? I mean, Trevor Siemian is not the answer here for New Orleans, so I wonder what they do there. And I feel bad for Jameis, and I feel bad that, Taysom Hill's still has the concussion, so potentially he becomes the starting quarterback whenever he is healthy and he's not seeing.
They're paying him $13 million. If he's not the backup quarterback, what are we doing, right?
Maybe
a glorified return. This guy's a glorified special teamer making $13 million.
Mr. Tight End. Yeah, maybe that's what unlocks Kamara's pass catching abilities and takes it to the notch. I mean, Kamara has the door wide open to be the best running back in this year if he wants it. I mean, his Christmas Day rushing touchdown record is 6 rushing touchdowns. Maybe that's still encouraging him to run the ball more. But I mean, I would think that they would try to get him in open space. I mean, I don't know. Michael Thomas will stretch the field whenever he's back. If he is not just a shell of himself like he kind of was last year, he wasn't super great for them. But yeah, the Saints won this game. They were clutch. It wasn't necessarily Tom Brady's day. He could have played a little bit better. I did like that Cyril. Oh God, what's his last name? The guy that caught his first touchdown for 50 yards. That was pretty cool. That man was wide open.
Yeah, it was
mean,
nobody. Yeah, it was nobody in a count and within a county mile of that guy.
I
he was-
could have thrown that touchdown. Like,
Yeah,
my ball would have been like it would have looked like a lemon flying through the air or something.
I love that. I love that on a day. I love that we're talking about Tom Brady. He could have played well. He could have played better. Obviously, he could have played better. He was 28 of 40 for 375 and 4 touchdowns. Like, this guy is just otherworldly, man. Like literally, he's unbelievable.
I mean, I guess the definition of playing better is winning the game. That's
There you go. Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying, like, he had 4 touchdowns yesterday, and like, it's like I could run into this problem every week on DFS for DraftKings, right? Like, I was doing this the last few weeks, or the weeks prior to the last few weeks, where I was just like, oh, he's just too expensive. Like, he's $7,600. He doesn't run. I can't get to him. He's gonna throw 4 touchdowns every week. Like, my best tournament lineup this week was a Tom Brady sack. Like, it's not even. I'm just gonna start. It's like the Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen thing. Anytime they're on the slate for DraftKings, I'm just gonna play them. I'm just gonna play at least 2 or 3 lineups, and one of these times they're gonna hit. So, Andrew, any thoughts on this game?
I mean, the only thing I wanted to talk about was the Saints clock management before the 2-minute warning and into underneath it, because it literally set up the perfect opportunity for Tom Brady to go down and win that game. And I even looked over to you, Johnny, and I said, they're giving him this much time plus a timeout. Like, I'm like, that's what Byron Leftwich is telling him right now. Like, hey, just stay patient. They got to first and goal on the 4-yard line, and the first one was a fade route that went awry. So Simeon threw it away. The next one, which I don't really like doing, I don't like any teams really doing this, where they roll out to one side on the goal line. It completely limits you to one side of the field on the goal line. I don't love that. Again, throw the ball away, and then third down. Now it doesn't matter if you run the clock or not, because the 2-minute warning already passed. The clock stopped anyway, so you could throw the ball, and they throw the ball again, and then they kick a field goal. And then it leads to Tom Brady's pick and everything. And again, a team, they didn't play. They didn't play or make the coaching decisions in the final minutes to win the game, and then somehow against Tom Brady still managed to win the game against Tom Brady. It was a survivor pick. I'm pissed.
That's a huge catch, Andrew, because we did talk about that yesterday, and that's something that I failed to mention here. That was absolutely correct. That clock management was absolutely piss poor. I mean, there's no way you allow that. And again, like I said, Tom Brady throwing an interception in that spot is nearly never happens. Like, I mean, almost all the time, you're expecting him to go down and get a field goal. And if he does that and you lose, we are asking big questions about Sean Payton and that play call and his time management in general, as you were saying. So 100%. And then winning this game, really, I mean, good Lord, it kind of put him back in the NFC South race. I mean, what are they, 1 game back now? I mean, right? Because that's 2 losses for them. I think the Saints have only lost 3 games too. So
I think they're 5-2. They've only lost 2 games, the Saints.
Yeah. So they're tied. I thought the Saints lost 3. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, we can continue.
Well, I think they're 5-3. You can look it up. Yeah.
They're 5-2. Yeah, they're 5-2. Yeah, the Bucks are now 6-2. Yeah. So the Bucks lead by half a game. But early bye week for the Saints.
Yeah. Last week, I think.
Andrew, Sharp is a tat.
They had a bye week last week, so they didn't play. So they have 1 less game played. But that's why I just remembered. But we can,
good job, Jones.
Yeah, they're looking good. It'd be interesting to see, like you guys mentioned, though, whether it's Taysom Hill or Trevor Siemian for them. It looks like it's gonna be Trevor Siemian, but we'll see what they say next week. Moving on to the next game, Patriots took down the Chargers. They've had their number for a couple of years now. I thought this is when the Chargers were going to be able to break the duck against them. Late touchdown made the score look a little bit nicer than it actually was, but Justin Herbert played a very bad game. The Patriots just kept doing, what they do best. They ran the ball with Damian Harris. They ran play action with Mac Jones, and the Chargers defense just could not stop them. Nor could they score points on the Patriots defense, which obviously has played a lot better in terms of what they played last year, since they've gotten a lot of players back who opted out. So they performed at a higher level even without Stephon Gilmore, who was traded to the Panthers, who actually got his first interception in the Panthers uniform yesterday. So shout out to Stephon Gilmore there. Another loss on the column here for us guys, to be honest. I mean, nothing else really to say about this. Thought they'd go cross country thought the Patriots be coming cross country to LA. I thought maybe that was the reason they lost last year and lost 45-0 in Foxborough. Come to LA and Bill Belichick still able to squeak out a win. I mean, what did you guys take away from this game? I honestly didn't watch a ton of this game. But paid attention enough because obviously Justin Herbert's on my fantasy team. So again, just upset with the loss. I almost leaned thinking Patriots during the game too. But again, what any takeaways here, guys? Major takeaways? Ryan's got a comment in here. You can't let both New York's team win this weekend. What's up, Ryan? We'll try our best, buddy. No promises. We're wearing the jerseys to try and bring some good juju. So we'll see.
What's up? What's up, Ryan?
Not a promise. I'm not promising nothing.
I'll promise it for you if you want me to.
I don't know what the hell's gonna happen today.
The New York Giants are going to lay the biggest egg in NFL history.
No. I don't want them to lay an egg. I want the Chiefs to go out and win a damn football game wire to wire.
Okay.
I don't want no laying eggs or nothing. I haven't seen a quality football game with the Kansas City Chiefs from end to end since the freaking AFC Championship game. And even then, that's not even good enough because they gave up 15 points and went in a hole early that they had to climb out of and went on a 38-6 run. So no, I don't want them to lay an egg. I'm sorry, Ace.
What's redder, Andrew's face or his jersey right now? I got heated.
Oh. I'm a little caliente over here too. Okay, well we're gonna preview Monday night as well, but yeah, like go Chiefs. I just don't want Andrew to be. I want you to be okay, buddy.
I'm okay. I'm great.
I'll go real quick here first. This is like the New England Patriots before Tom Brady was Tom Brady. This team is scrappy. It puts together wins when it needs to. It plays smart. They had the ball 10 more minutes than the Chargers did. Justin Herbert has had 2 bad games against the Patriots now. When he's played them, they ran 20 plays more than the Chargers. Justin Herbert should have played better. I'm not saying, kind of the Tom Brady effect, right? Like I said earlier, like if Justin Herbert plays better, then the Chargers probably win this game. The Patriots did have a lot of like kind of crappy things happen to them too. Damian Harris had a big run that was called back of a holding call. They fumbled in the red zone, I think. And I think they also had another touchdown wiped from some other penalty that I was reading up on this game. And, but yeah, I mean, the Patriots are back to 500, which is good for them. If you look at their schedule, I mean, they lost to the Miami Dolphins in the first week. And I mean, Miami, besides coming out to play a little bit against the Bills in the first half, has looked like crap. They whipped the New York Jets twice. Like good for you. Good for you. They lost to the New Orleans Saints. I mean, the Saints are pretty good. By double digits. So I mean that game wasn't necessarily super close. They almost beat the Bucks, right? A field goal difference. So that they could have been one game over 500 at the very least. Surprisingly, the Houston Texans kept that game close in week 5, right? So they only won by 3 against the Texans. So I mean, and they lost to Dallas, right, in overtime. So there's a lot of this season could have gone so many different ways, right? But the way you interpret it right now is that Mac Jones is playing really well, even though he didn't necessarily play well this last week. But what you ultimately see is how Bill Belichick has affected how he affects this New England Patriots team. They went and spent a bunch of money, and we all thought ooh, that's probably not good. Like the Patriots aren't like a team that does this, and I wouldn't say we've seen those the fruits of that labor, because are they even using any of these guys that they're paying big bucks to? So yeah, I think that the process in New England works, so that's why they won this game. Poor Justin Herbert here, but whatever. I mean, we were all wrong. Freaking Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I should have. Me and Andrew were kind of leaning. I don't know, Ace, we didn't talk to you before making the picks, but me and Andrew were kind of leaning towards picking the Patriots here, just because we thought they would kind of do this, where they played ball control and came in with a really good game plan against Justin Herbert. I thought the bye week for the Chargers would allow them to kind of get right here at home in a spot that they'd be able to prepare for. They'd really come out and play well. It seems like the Chargers have kind of become the Mike Williams show, right? I mean, people are letting Keenan Allen kind of get what he wants, and over the last 2 weeks, you've seen Mike Williams and his production kind of muted, and that's a big deal, especially when you look into this offense and the offensive coordinator specifically. We talked about it, bragged about it quite a bit, especially fantasy guys, about how Mike Williams was playing the Michael Thomas X receiver role in this offense, and he's continued to do so, obviously, with muted results over the last few weeks. And obviously Bill Belichick is the one to really do that, if anything. Just a little fun fact about the Patriots, they're 1-4 at home. They're 3-0 on the road. So I don't know, maybe they just need to stop playing at Foxborough. But
they could be a wild card team on the road and make it to the Super Bowl. I mean,
I still
imagine.
I look at the AFC. I really still like their chances of being a wild card here. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
To be a wild card team, given the landscape of the AFC right now. The AFC, I mean, the Bills are the best team right now in the AFC. I mean, that you'd argue. And, obviously, like we talked about last week, there's holes in every AFC team. I mean, everyone was ready to crown Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals and then go out and lay an egg against the Jets. I mean, this has been a really. I thought last year was going to be more of like a variable season where we saw a lot of things happen that don't normally happen, and we did to some extent, but the way that this year has really panned out, there have been a lot of teams that have really overdone expectations, like the Arizona Cardinals, and there's a lot of teams that have looked really piss poor, compared to where I had them project. You can add the Raiders into that too of over projecting, but this game was fine.
Yeah.
The Patriots just did a good job of controlling this game.
I just wanted to bring up the point here. So we all thought I was the lowest on the Chargers this season. I had them winning 7 games. You guys both had them winning 10 or 11, which is great. But yeah, I mean that just goes to show you, like, you have to come out and play these games. Like, what's worse than the Chargers losing this game is they lost it after a bye week in which they had all this time to plan for Mac Jones and to like shut him down. And I mean, I don't know if it's them not being hungry enough or however you want to like classify it, but this is a game that last season's Chargers definitely lost. This was a game that this season's Chargers should have won, and it's a little disappointing for that reason.
They should probably stop allowing almost 6 yards a carry. That's a pretty big deal. And that's why they can never get the football back. That's why the Patriots were able to say, like, when you look at Damian Harris's numbers, they were nothing outstanding. I mean, he had like 23 for 90 and a touchdown. I mean, but that's,
right,
right around 4-point-something yards per carry. And that's honestly less than they've been average. They've been allowing all year. But when you can't get stops on third down, you're not able to stop the run game on third and short, which they weren't able to do. The Patriots are a team that's just going to run it right up here. They have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. And they're really relying on that this year. And Damian Harris is having obviously a career season, but, a season that a lot of running backs in this league right now would be kind of envious of the way that he's playing. So I think it's kind of what we expect from the Patriots. A lot of smart football, a lot of keeping the ball away, a lot of Bill Belichick playing really good defense. And, there were some games in there that we didn't expect them to lose, like the Dolphins game probably wasn't one we expected them to lose. And I'm sure they might lose 1 or 2 more along the way. And as we saw on Sunday, there's maybe 1 or 2 more that they end up winning that we really didn't see them winning. So, yeah, I mean, I think we said pretty much everything we need to say about this one.
Yeah, we'll move on from that one. It's just crazy that they scored 27 points, the Patriots, against this Chargers defense with only scoring the one offensive touchdown in the first quarter. They didn't score an offensive touchdown. The remainder of the game, it was 4 Nick Folk field goals and an Adrian Phillips interception return for a touchdown, who was a former Charger. So moving on, let's see. We got the Titans and Colts, and this is a game that, again, Carson, it's kind of the Carson Wentz story here that stuff went wrong. Went to overtime. The Colts, it was a back and forth game for what it's worth. Derrick Henry dealt with the injury pretty early on in the game, tried to power through it and play. Carson with just 2 absolute no-nos. The pick in overtime would have been the worst play of his season had it not been for the goal line interception off a botched screenplay that led to a walk-in touchdown to a rookie cornerback for the Titans. So that really kind of turned the game on its tide. That's what eventually led it to go to overtime. The Colts were up 31-24, pinned on their own 4 or their own 2 or something like that. And then obviously Carson Wentz drops back to try and complete a screen. Titans kick a field goal. Randy Bullock, who hasn't shown up to practice or weight training sessions in 5 seasons with the Titans, made the 47-yard winning field goal. If you guys, I mean, I'm just making fun of Randy Bullock here. He's the most out of shape kicker I've ever seen in the NFL history. I'm sorry. I'm just being very mean to him. I just don't.
Janikowski?
Who?
Janikowski?
No. You gotta look up Randy Bullock. Randy Bullock. Yeah. Look them up side by side comparison.
Put up on Twitter later.
Nobody's gonna know who they are.
Janikowski. Just put a picture of the big boys. That's it. We'll put up a picture of each big boy next to each other. Janikowski was huge. I'll go quick on this one, dude, because this was really annoying. I thought this was one of the best games of Sunday. This was a really good back and forth game. It had nothing to do with the fact that I picked Michael Pittman and Jonathan Taylor in my cash lineups and they both smashed. None at all. But, yeah, I mean, this game was really good. Back and forth. Andrew said so stupid for all those who couldn't read lips because he was muted. And then Carson Wentz, he's done a great job all year of not making the mistake, of not making the Philadelphia Eagle Carson Wentz mistake, and then just had PTSD. Now I'm muted. Yeah, Frank Wright, you're on the 3-yard line. Just run it up the middle and get it over with. I don't know why we're running a screen.
I tried unmuting him, but because he muted himself, StreamYard's like, you can't unmute him. He chose to mute himself, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great point. I only heard 1 split second.
Another L for all all three of us, boys. Ace,
Oh,
but you
my
gotta
bad.
understand.
Yeah, basically, Frank Reich should not be calling a screen pass on the 3-yard line. What are we doing? Why are we calling screen pass on the 3-freaking-yard line? So many things can go wrong. I mean, if Carson Wentz has a grounding penalty in the end zone, you lose the game. I mean, if he gets flushed out and gets pressure right away and he can't get the ball away, you lose the game. There's so many ways you lose the game right there besides just running it through the A-gap with your best offensive player, Jonathan Taylor. And for some reason, Hines still gets work. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. It's egregious. And Frank Reich needs to get it together and button it up.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't got much from this game. The Titans are over, so the Titans season's over. Whatever. They're gonna win. They're gonna win 8-9 games. It is what it is. AJ Brown looked great. A million points, right? Michael Pittman looked good too. I liked. He came out with that clutch catch at the to put the Colts back into position to try to tie the game in the fourth quarter because they
awesome, dude.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, Carson Wentz, you stupid, silly boy. Get it together. You can win this division easily now. Are they going to? Who the hell knows? But I'm not afraid of these two teams if come playoff time. Like if for some reason the Chiefs have to play one of these two teams in the playoffs, guys, like come on, smash. Like instant smash. I'll say smash all day.
I would think so. I'd like to believe so.
I believe so.
If we're gonna turn the ball over 2.5 times a game like we're averaging right now, we're not gonna beat anyone. But yeah, I agree that we should.
0 tonight. Let's go 0.
I definitely hope so. I hope it's a 0 on the board for the turnovers. It'd be nice to have a clean game, like I said earlier in my little rant. But so AFC South got a shakeup Sunday night, and then an even bigger shakeup Monday morning. So we'll have to, we'll revisit this division and come back to it. I'm sure it won't be the last time we predict the team games from this division. Then we got the Sunday night game. Cowboys and Cooper Rush, another backup quarterback. He was in our thumbnail. You guys noticed?
Asa, how could you pick against Cooper Rush? I mean, how did that happen?
Cedric Wilson throws the ball better, and that's not just looking at his stats. If you see a Cedric Wilson spiral versus this Cooper Rush guy,
threw it on the run. It looked great. It looked really nice. I mean, they don't get around when you hear like every other like receiver's like this guy was a high school quarterback. They actually were kidding. He never gets old.
This game was the Vikings to win. It's just like, did you, as fate would have it, Brashad Breeland, that play reminded me of the Julio Jones and Micah Hyde catch from last week's Monday night game, or 2 weeks ago Monday night, where the ball casually hits off of Micah Hyde's helmet. It flutters in the air. Julio Jones tiptoes his way to the sideline to catch a 40-something 50-yard bomb for an out-of-bounds play. Brashad Breeland, you should have just been invisible because Amari Cooper had no business catching that. And with 2 minutes and change to go in the game to set them up to win here. I mean, good for Dallas here winning without Dak. I mean, that's great. Like getting Dak some extra rest was the most important thing that they could do for their overall playoff chances. They're probably the 4th best team in the NFC. I mean, I don't have them better than the Rams and the Bucks right now. And who else do I have to think about in the NFC?
Cardinals,
Packers. Yeah. Oh God, there's so many teams.
Ryan's about to go ballistic here in the chat. Yeah, the NFC compared to the AFC. Whew. I mean, that's not something you thought coming into the year. I mean, we knew the NFC West was going to be really good, but I mean, there were still some major questions on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Asa had huge questions on the Green Bay Packers.
I mean, and what is this? Is this Minnesota Vikings team just allergic to Dalvin Cook when he plays? Because when they play, he loses this season. Like, this is unreal. The one of the best rushers in the league has not played well, but he's played serviceable. And I don't know what the hell is up with this Vikings team. And Jay,
their O-line sucks.
I was just gonna say, you're gonna tell me the O-line sucks, and that's why you don't have them winning the division. And
well, they also play in the division with Aaron Rodgers, Ace. I think that's kind of more the reason why I don't have them winning the division. I don't think the O-line has anything to really do with the fact that they play in the same division as Aaron Rodgers.
If the Packers season wasn't going so well, would you say Aaron Rodgers' season was in jeopardy?
No, probably not, because they still have Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the Packers could be similar. Look at the Chiefs. I mean, If the Packers were in the same situation, I'd be saying the same thing. Like, let's kind of hold off and let's see what happens. Because I mean, I'm saying the same thing for the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs have had a piss poor start, but I mean, tough schedule and everything, and you could blame all that crap. But when you when you make it to the Super Bowl, you're gonna have a tough schedule. But no, I mean, Ace, I know you were big on the Vikings. There's no shot. There was no world. There was nothing that could have happened this offseason besides Aaron Rodgers not returning to Green Bay. And there's no way hell could have frozen over before I picked the Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers. It's not happening.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. I'll just. I'm fine. I'm fine. I didn't like the Packers this year, man. And
that's okay, buddy. No worries. And so honestly, week one, you looked like the absolute genius week one, and then they just turned it around. They won 7 in a row. But
they won 7 in a row.
Week one, Ace was so his life was so good.
And how good was it? Like they lost to a Saints team that looks like it's pretty damn good. I mean, the Saints look like, hey, even without Jameis Winston, starting Trevor Siemian, they look pretty solid.
So yeah, you're right. Okay, the only thing I'll say here is Michael Parsons looks really good. I mean, Trevon Diggs looks pretty good. So I like Dallas's young talent there. I mean, the Vikings, like Kirk Cousins is like he's not obviously like world leader, NFL best quarterback. Like I get that, but he's good. He's not great. That's kind of where it lies, and he has to be great to win these games against good teams, and he wasn't. So, like, it is what it is.
It's prime time Kirk Cousins. Anytime Kirk Cousins is playing with the bright lights on, baby, pick whoever. They could be playing the Jets. They could be playing the Jets, and I would have really thought about picking the Jets.
I think that prime time. Yeah, I think the one thing was they were like 1 for 13 on third downs. Like you got to be like 33%. You can't be 10% here. Like you have to make some damn plays. Like, and they didn't.
Yeah, literally. No, I mean, I think you pretty much hit everything for this game. Yeah, I mean, the circus catch by Amari Cooper. Me and Andrew have been making a big point of saying this here. Anyone who listens, please understand that Ezekiel Elliott is unbelievable, dude. I mean, this dude. If you actually like football and you see him in pass pro, I mean, linebackers in the A gap stuffed. I mean, like a sandwich, absolutely stuffed, no shot. I will point out one big thing from this game that's going to kind of be a question mark here for Dallas going forward. And a reason why they were willing to let Jalen Smith walk and go to Green Bay, obviously besides the salary cap relief, is that depth that they had at the linebacker position. And they actually, like Asa mentioned, started moving Micah Parsons a little bit to more of like that defensive end role where he's playing outside and rushing the passer a lot more. I don't know how much more he's going to be able to do that now with Jabril Cox. They just announced it today. He tore his ACL, and he was a 4th-round draft pick this year. A guy that wasn't making a ton of money and was giving them a ton of production, looked really good. I was very surprised when the draft came along and he fell all the way to the 4th round. I had him more of like an early second type of guy. I really thought he was a solid linebacker coming in, and he tore his ACL. Just curious on how that plays a factor. We've talked about this Dallas defense. It's not really that they're schemed all too well. It's not even really that they have amazing playmakers. They're really fast. And they allow themselves to recover for the mistakes that they make. And the last thing I'll say about Trevon Diggs, and I just want to mention this because everyone's enamored with Trevon Diggs this year, and by all means, they should be. Trevon Diggs is very good. People are still throwing to him at a very high rate. He's going to have more interception opportunities. So he very well, I mean, he's got a huge head start and is very well has a great chance to lead the league in interceptions. But people are telling you something about him that they are still throwing to him. Like he allowed a touchdown yesterday. I mean, and he's allowed like maybe 5 or 6 this year. And like you're going to get both feast or famine because he's a ball hawk. But
he's the league leader in yards given up in the cornerback position.
Thank you, A. And again, why is that, Andrew? Like, we've been watching football for a long time, dissecting football for a good amount of time here, and really trying to understand what's happening in the football game. He's still being targeted for a reason. People think there's still meat on the bone there and an opportunity to really get at him. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, Trevon Diggs is unbelievable. I'm not trying to take away anything from him, but I would just like to put some context in there to where he's being thrown at a ton still.
Yeah. That's why this Dallas team is like 5th best in the NFC. Like, I mean, Tampa, they might not be getting as much production out of their defense this year, but you trust them a lot more. You trust I mean, the Green Bay Packers kept that game close without their defensive coach defensive coordinator this week, and having some cheeky King, right?
I mean, they were without their starting 3 wide receivers.
Yeah. I mean, this Cowboys win was good. I mean, good for them, but it shows you that they have like some good talent, right? And that's gonna lead them to having a decent amount of success. A good easy schedule also helps that out a lot. And Zeke has been overperforming this year to where I thought he wasn't going to play this well this season, and I'm glad he is, because Zeke is a really good running back, and Dak Prescott deserves a good running back. And yeah.
You have anything on this one, eh?
No, obviously I think the scenario worked out well off a bye week for the Cowboys to get an extra, essentially just an extra week of rest for their franchise quarterback. They were able to get out a win. I'm sure they would have, they've been very understanding had they not been able to pull out this win on Sunday Night Football with Cooper Rush making a start. But to get the win, to get Dak 2 weeks of rest in the middle of the season is, just about as good as you could ask for if you're the Cowboys here, especially starting off 6-1. So again, I had them projected to be 13-4. So I'm hoping they stay on that course and are one of the top teams in the NFC. With that being said, if they survive to the end of the season, remains to be seen. Will we survive Week 8?
No, we won't. No, we won't.
Oh my God, we've all been ravaged. I'm telling you, this is going to turn into a graveyard. I mean, this is a whole screen with these tombstones.
Man, this is really bad. The Bengals were up by double digits, I think, in their game.
Yes, they were.
The Colts as well, right?
Yes, they were.
They're up by a touchdown, I think.
No, it's 14-0.
Oh,
and Tampa was up 7-0. So if you watched the first quarter, you were like of any of these games, you're like, I'm a badass. Like, I mean, Tampa was favored to win the game. The Bengals were double-digit favorites, I think, right? And I think the Colts were -3. So I mean,
that was pretty tight.
These were all upsets, anyways, in terms of the way that Vegas looks at it. But geez, Louise, man, like Mr. Micah Mitchell, Muhammad White, like he started the game for like 11 for 11 or some nonsense like that. Like, the Bengals could be 2-6. They could be 6-2. Like, I don't know what to expect from these guys. Like, Jamar Chase is unbelievable. Joe Burrow is awesome. Like, I like them a lot. Like, Joe Mixon's a great running back. I don't think that now after like this loss, I'm like, oh, you lost to the New York Jets. Like, I'm the Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs. Like, I think.
Oh, really?
I think this is going to come tumbling down.
Wow.
I mean, because think about it, right? They'll face the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're not good, but they beat the Cleveland Browns 15-10. Why? Like, some pretty not good teams are winning football games here, right? The Jets are not a good team. Like, I don't know if it's coach. Maybe it's coaching. Like, the Bengals need you.
I think it just adds to the narrative, Ace. Again, it's hard to make sense of really what's going on, and I totally get it. It just adds to the narrative that this season has just been like freaking weird. It's just been so weird. And Jay mentioned it. Like, we expected last year to be the really weird year. And while there were some like speed bumps and a couple interesting storylines, this year has just been bonkers. So from the get, teams are, like you mentioned, certain teams overperforming. The 49ers are in shambles when we expected them to be at the top of the NFC West. Russell Wilson is hurt. I mean, anything you could think of right now. The Cleveland Browns are at 500, and everyone projected finishing 11-5 last year, projecting them to be a wild card team, possibly to win the division. I had them as finishing 12-5. I'll touch on the Bucs for a fact. We already talked about the Bucs. I picked the Bucs. Again, the scenario in which Tom Brady gets the ball back with 1:30 left and a timeout, and he doesn't go down with a one possession game to win the football game has never happened until yesterday. So I was fine. It's just a weird.
Oh yeah,
year.
Numbers were on your side.
It's just a weird year, and that's all you got to chalk it up to. I think the Bengals will be an above 500 football team by the time the season ends, and I don't really think that the Steelers. Maybe not, Maybe you don't think so. I think they'll still finish somewhere around 500 or so. They already have 5 wins. They have to win 4 more games. I mean, and I think it's doable.
I mean,
so.
they have a chance for sure.
No. This is anytime I get to jump in and trash on the Bengals a little bit, I'd love to. Can I top in here? Okay, thank you very much. Joe Burrow was sacked 3 more times yesterday. For anyone wondering, Jamar Chase had that many catches, so good on the Bengals for drafting another wide receiver. I'm not going to say anything because Jamar Chase had another touchdown. He's unbelievable. But 21 of 34. The Cincinnati Bengals remaining schedule is at home versus the Browns. Then they go to Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Then they play the Steelers. Then they play the Chargers. They play the Niners, the Broncos, the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Browns again. Are we sure they finish over 500 here?
I think they finish somewhere near it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely have a head start.
I mean, yeah, we can't just. I mean, yeah, it's easy to criticize a team after a loss. I'm
criticizing them after
I'm for sure criticizing them against a loss against the Jets, though. I mean, the Jets are not a good football team, and they're a developing team. It's like losing to the Jaguars. It's like losing to the Houston Texans. Well, not the Houston Texans. You aren't developing. You're developing a big poo in your belly so you can crap that out later. You're not developing anything. And I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars look lost. I mean, a bunch of development teams, whatever. Mind you, I'm not going to overstep that, but yeah, the Bengals should have won that game. The Bucks, yeah, they played one of their toughest divisional opponents. Like I can understand that loss. Like it still surprised me. Like 100%. I see the score. I was checking it on my phone while I was at work. Don't tell anybody. And I'm like, oh yeah, Tom Brady's gonna come back and win this game. Sorry, New Orleans. And he didn't. And we've already talked about this Colts game, but oh my God, that was just a trash ending too. So this. How about we do this instead of picking teams to win? Let's pick teams to lose because we're good at that.
Okay, that's cool. I could do that. We'll figure out a new name for Survivor. I don't know. We'll keep the zombie theme because I kind of like it, and but we'll figure out a new name for it and a new gimmick. But I mean, just real quick on their schedule, the 49ers and Broncos are winnable games for them. I think that the division games are up for grabs still. They already beat the Ravens, so I think they can. It's not going to be the same exact game, but if they've already beaten them, it's a division opponent. You could probably squeak out a win there. So if they win 3 to 4 games, they'll finish somewhere around 500.
Yeah, I can see them winning those.
How many of those games are they favored in?
I don't know. We're not going to get 2 of them right now.
2 of them. Yeah, maybe 2 of them, if that. Yeah.
So we'll approach it when it comes, though.
I think they'll have wins against the teams you just mentioned and the Browns. Like the Browns, I don't have any faith in anymore. We didn't talk about them. 10 points. They could.
Steelers defense is good. I'm not saying the Browns are good or anything, but how good are the Bengals? I mean, the Bengals have 5 wins this year. They've come against the Vikings. They beat the Steelers. They also beat the Jags, the Lions. I mean, Jarvis Landry and OBJ. Yeah, Jarvis Landry's been hurt, and OBJ hasn't been good. I agree with that.
I know, and Baker's hurt. I know.
How good are the Bengals? I mean, I just don't. I mean, there were a lot of people that were ready to talk about them winning the division and stuff. I still think the Ravens are leaps and bounds better than that.
This Cleveland Browns team is only getting overhyped because last season in the playoffs they played without their coach because he had COVID and he was in the base. He was in the base. He was in the base
last year.
No. I'm just saying the Browns were a little overhyped. They spent a lot of money on this offseason. They demolished the Steelers in the first quarter, but the Steelers did come back in that game. It wasn't a blowout win. Like the Steelers did have a shot at some point to come back into that game. And then the Browns this season have been injured, and I get that. So they will play better in the second half. The next 9 games of this season, I believe that 100% because they have the talent. The talent will prove otherwise. But I mean, yeah, I think the Bengals can beat the Browns. I've seen the Bengals put up 30, 40 points. Like I haven't seen the Browns do that yet. So I won't believe it until I see it. It's not Santa Claus, I believe in Santa Claus without seeing him. So, it is what it is.
And we usually get reaffirmed in that belief every year on a specific day. So thanks for taking care of us all, Santa Claus. With all that being said, let's move on to the gift that keeps on giving. That is Monday Night Football. New York Giants. This is traveling to Kansas City. Chiefs favored by 10.5. Another game that we all have the same exact pick here. don't know what to expect, really. You know, it's kind of hard to muster up exactly like what to expect from this Kansas City Chiefs team. Obviously, if they're gonna get right, they're gonna have to do it soon. And like I was saying, I'll give my little piece real quick. Like I was, I got a little sidetracked earlier, but what I want to see is it's just a wire to wire, all around good football game. No turnovers. Okay, you take what you can get. Like there's no, I don't want to see boneheaded mistakes. I don't want to see lapses in coverage. Like let's be on the same page. Let's go. Let's start from to finish. Just a cohesive football win from all three facets: special teams, offense, and defense. I'd love to see it, and I think this is really the last. Because if it doesn't happen here, Green Bay, Raiders, Cowboys, those are the next three. If it doesn't happen here, I don't imagine it happens in the other three, and they're going to be just as ugly as some of the games we've seen in so far this season. So I think if there's a game to get right, find their rhythm, find their mojo, it's got to be here. Huge favorite, home crowd, Monday Night Lights. You got to win. You got to get the win here. Really, that's all it is. And from end to end, wire to wire, it needs to be one of those games. You haven't seen it in 8 weeks of football dating back to Super Bowl, so it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want me to go? You want me to talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The only way you circle this as a Giants win is if you say the Chiefs lose this game, and that's the only way that I can see this happening. And that's not because the Giants don't have the talent on here. Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard are playing tonight. I mean, they don't have a full deck. Saquon's out. I just don't see that. Like even if Daniel, like the Chiefs have to allow Daniel Jones to run all over them potentially, to carry the ball like a dozen times himself, and maybe they get first downs, and maybe the Chiefs blow a couple of big plays open for these guys. I don't see the Giants doing this on their own. I think the Chiefs would have to falter incredibly so. The Chiefs have had a bad season so far, right? And they compounded by their last week against the Tennessee Titans, right? And but who do they have? They have Patrick Mahomes, former MVP. They have Andy Reid, who is a pretty good coach, right? He's played in the division against these Giants, right? He was, Eagles coach. The Chiefs have too much going for them this season to keep like letting things fall apart for them. The defense will play better today. Like, and it may not be, and I hope it's a wire to wire win, like you said. Come on, you have some of the best talent in the world. You have Honey Badger. Like there has to be something that changes. It's just and you're favored by 10.5, which just seems crazy. That Vegas is still favoring them, but Vegas isn't stupid either. Like they know that this could easily be a slobber knocker. Like I don't know. I just don't think the Giants are going to do it. I told you to smash last week all the Chiefs players in the world, and because I chose them for my Survivor Pool challenge, and the Lord and Savior Josh Allen hates me apparently, and that didn't come true. But smash all the buttons.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you guys have been pretty good about saying everything that needs to be said about this football game. I mean, yeah, I think the Chiefs have an opportunity here to get right. Obviously, Andrew mentioned they have a few tough games coming up here forward. The interesting thing that I want to see today is a lot of teams have been playing the too high shell. I mean, you've heard anyone who has ears, talk or has a mouth talk about how everyone's playing the Chiefs in this too high shell. The Giants are a team that actually plays a lot of this too high shell, but played a little differently than most people play against the Chiefs, because you don't want to sit in zone coverage and allow Travis Kelce to tear you apart over the middle. So a lot of teams will run the too high stuff and they'll play man. The Giants are specifically built with their corners and their secondary to play this zone coverage. It's something that they really do. They do it quite a bit. I'm just curious to see if that's something that they go out on, or if they just, they look at the tape and they see that everyone's been playing the Chiefs in 2-man, and that's kind of where, they let the cards lie there. I mean, everybody looks like they're pretty buttoned up on the Chiefs part. The Kansas City Chiefs did a lot of stuff in the offseason that I didn't really like, in terms of talking about going 20-0 and, having all these predetermined type of notions for how their season was going to go. And it's the NFL, man. I understand when you get a little taste of success, sometimes you think it's just going to come all the time. I mean, we've seen it. There's only one team that's really done it over like a 20-year span. And I mean, everyone wants to call this Chiefs team a dynasty. We're not a dynasty yet. You can't go to 2 Super Bowls and call yourself a dynasty. It's time to really start establishing yourself as that. I mean, you've been a very good team team since Andy Reid's been here. But if you want to be a dynasty, you need to turn this around. You need to have a better season than you've had. You can put the blame on all facets, man. I mean, I hear a lot of people talking about the defense. And 100%, the defense hasn't played well. But if you put on that Tennessee Titans game and you put it on for any longer than just the first drive, right? When you saw the Chiefs defense get absolutely shredded for them to go down the field, score a touchdown, the offense is a problem too right now. The offense is not solving any problems that they were solving over the last few years when we didn't have a great defense. So it's time to put the team together. The Chiefs defense is not like it lacks talent. I mean, the Jaron Reed signing was a signing that everyone was talking about when they first did it. So I think these guys are more than capable of playing better. I think that it's kind of been the type of narrative that's been staying around the locker room. And I think the Chiefs are going to come out. They're going to play a better football game today. And I think we're going to have a good game. So,
yeah, I think so too.
Well said. Again, we're all rooting for this because we want to get it right. Two of us obviously are in the camp of being fans of this team. So hopefully it's a good day of football. Hopefully it's a nice cap off to a crazy freaking week 8 that we all had. But unless we have anything else to add, guys,
Oh, wait, one last thing. Travis Kelce is going to have 9 catches for 117 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Giants are one of the worst teams against tight ends. That's how you get 3 scores. I'm gonna just predict. I don't care. 37-8. That is your scoregami, Andrew. I'm trying to go for your scoregami.
I think that is one. I'll have to double check. I don't think we've ever had a 37-8 game.
37-8. Let's do it.
If that's the score line, then we'll be sure to mention scoregami in our post after the game. I'm not gonna go ahead and give a score prediction. I'm too freaking nervous. I don't think Johnny wants to either. So that's basically gonna do it. Go Chiefs! Thanks for tuning in for today, guys. We'll be back again tomorrow to talk some basketball. But until then, that's been the AJA Sports Show, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
Go Chiefs!
I'm not nervous. You guys got this. Let's go, Chiefs.
My heart's racing, done.